Hi, everyone, and welcome to this podcast, Expat CEO with Julia, and this is episode 1. This is a podcast for those who want to build and grow their business in a country which is different from their home country, being an expat just like me. Today's episode will be dedicated to the topic how to find your business idea, the one that fits you, the one that is sustainable. Because I think a lot of you who want to quit your 9 to 5, who understand that their current lifestyle is not really for them, for some reasons really struggle either to find any idea at all because they don't really know what they can do, what value they can bring to the market. Or a second option is you have so many ideas that you don't know what to focus on, what to work on, but somehow you end up trying too much, not concentrating enough. And that's why you kind of switch from idea to an idea and confuse your potential clients. If that sounds familiar to you, stay tuned because I'm going to break down the exact steps that you need to take in order to find a business idea that will suit you. So today I'm going to talk about how I came up with my business idea and which framework you can use to stay on track. In my experience, there are 2 mistakes that one can make when trying to choose a perfect business idea to start. The first thing that a lot of people would do is that they would assess what they already know how to do. So for example, they work in a firm and they have a specific competence that they apply in their everyday job. And they just think, okay, then I'm going to open a business based on what I already can do. And normally it should be working, right? You have been doing this for somebody else. That means there is a need for this specific skill. So here's what you do. You quit your firm and you start offering exactly the same services as you're performing as a technical specialist in your firm. And the issue with that is that already nobody knows you, right? Because your firm, especially if it's a big one, they have a brand name. So they are well known, they have a reputation, and that's why a lot of people turn to them. And by the way, if it's a very big firm, in most cases, you haven't participated in the creation of this reputation. You were just employed and you were a part of a well-working system. So there is no reason why people would go to you and not to your firm, right? Because they're bigger, they have more resources. Your only chance at competing with somebody already established in the market, if you choose a different angle, if you choose your positioning, your specific audience, if you tailor your offers, and that's why, of course, you can use those skills in the future, but you really need to think first in which context and how and what is the problem that you are solving. Another mistake that a lot of people make while starting is also something that I have struggled a bit at the beginning. And to be honest, I'm still trying to figure it out. But basically, that is to do something that you know there is a demand for and you know that people actually need this and you have the capabilities, the knowledge to help them. But at the same time, you understand that doesn't really interest you. It doesn't really align with what you want to do on a daily basis. So you start doing this, you get your first clients, maybe you continue for some time, but then you just realize that you don't want to do this at all. And so finally this business idea proves not to be viable. And this is why I have come up with this framework that I always come back to every time that I feel like I'm stuck, that I don't know what to do next. I'm always going back to the starting point and thinking everything through all over again. So here it is. The starting point of every business idea, sustainable in the long run, is to actually think what your values are and what you want to help people with. So you really need to start with your vision, with the why. Why do you want to do something? Why do you want to help that kind of person, etc.? Let me give you an example. I used to be this very unsporty person. I used to cut classes when I was in school, physical education classes. I would basically think that this is a waste of my time. This is not a real school subject. And this is how I spent my childhood. So I didn't do much sports. I didn't have a lot of movement in my life. And then all of a sudden I met my partner and everything changed because he's a very sporty person and he kind of set an example for me. And so as it happened, I gradually introduced sports into my daily life. And as of this day, it is a part of my daily routine. So I try to do sports every single day. I have noticed that it actually makes me feel better. And somehow I eat less, but I have more energy. And this is where I come to realize that after changing my lifestyle, I have much more energy for other activities. I feel better in general. I feel strong compared to how it used to be in the old days. And this made me realize that everyone should get a chance at feeling good in their body, at feeling strong and improving in general their quality of life. And that's why I want to help other people to feel great about their body, not to have all those health problems that they might easily avoid if they implement some changes to their lifestyles. And this is why I have made it my mission to show people that there is another way of living this life, that they can be healthier, that they can feel better, and that they can make better choices about their lifestyle. Whoa, okay, it was just an example, but I almost convinced myself that I actually want to have this mission in my life. But it can be anything. It can be anything that you truly believe in, that you have an interest in, and that aligns with your core values. For example, you really value family in life and you want help people find a way to spend more time with their loved ones, or you want to help people have more memorable experiences in life, anything, but it should be really something big, something of a core value. And once you have defined your mission and your core values, you start to zoom in. You start to ask yourself, okay, so who are those people? But in order to be able to help them, you need to identify them first. You really need to create a clear picture in your head. Who are those people? A very specific audience with a very specific problems that they are facing. If we go back to my original example of wanting to help people lead a healthier lifestyle, feel more energized, you should choose a very specific targeted audience. For example, office workers, people who have a sedentary lifestyle, who don't have a lot of time, have very busy schedules, and often do not do any physical activities at all, or very rarely. They might be overweight, they might feel bloated or overeat and have this heavy stomach every time before going to bed. So you can think of all those problems those people might have, which are due to their lifestyle. And then you think, okay, how do they really want to feel? They want to feel light. They want to feel strong. They don't want to have those problems with their back. So basically, you need to identify their current state, which is unsatisfactory, and the desired outcome. And your goal as an entrepreneur, as a problem solver, to bridge this gap between their current state and the problem that they're facing to bring them to their desired outcome. So if we take this example again of people having this awful lifestyle with lack of movement, help them install daily exercise routines. Think of how you can change their diet so that they wouldn't feel bloated every time, right? So you concentrate on the very specific problem. You don't have to treat all those problems at once. You can start with a very small problem and with a very small solution, which can bring tangible results. So basically, you should create a list of problems your target audience is facing. You can even think of multiple target audiences with different problems. So my example of office workers, but you can find a lot of categories of people with different problems connected to your mission, to your goal of helping people create a healthy lifestyle, which will prolong their lives, right? So create a list of all the problems you can think of which are aligned with your mission and which your target audience is currently facing. And then think of the desired outcomes and of the solutions that you can put in place in order to bridge this gap. After you have done this, you need to ask yourself 2 questions. The first question is, do I really want to do this? Do I want to provide this solution for this specific problem of this target audience? And if your answer is yes, then you should move on to the next question. But if your answer is no, if you understand that, yes, you have a nice business idea. Yes, this is a real problem that you're trying to solve for a very real client. But at the same time, you feel like it doesn't inspire you. You don't feel motivated to do so. You should not pursue this idea, because if you don't have motivation, it's not going to last before you give up and you move on to something else. And in this case, you go back to your mission statement, because normally if there's something that is a core value to you, it should not change. So you go back to your core value if you want to help people to lead a healthy lifestyle, and you start all over again. You identified a target audience and you identify problems and solutions bringing to the desired outcome. So you work around those steps. But if you say that, yes, this is what you want to do, you can see yourself working on this problem for years from now, then there is another question that you need to ask yourself, and it is, can you do this? Can you really provide this solution at your current state of capabilities, of your skills, etc.? And this question is important, but less important than the previous ones, because you can always learn. You can always acquire new skills. You can always cooperate with somebody. In any case, I'm strongly convinced that your ability is less important than your willingness, provided that you learn, you put in your effort, and you try to provide the best solution possible by constantly improving, asking for feedback. We are not born experts. A lot of things are learned with experience, but your willingness and your motivation weigh much more. Trust me on this. If we sum up, the first step would be define your mission, define the why, what values you have, and what do you want to help people globally with. So then, second step, based on those values, you identify the people that you can help. You identify the people with the same values. Specifically, who are those people? Step number 3, what specific problems do they have? What is the desired outcome? Step number 4, how can you, as an entrepreneur, bridge that gap between the desired outcome and the problems and the pains that your target audience are facing? So basically, what needs to be done to bridge that gap? Then you ask yourself, do I really want to do this? If the answer is yes, perfect. If the answer is no, you go back to the previous steps. Then you ask yourself, can I do this? And if the answer is no, in this case, you can either learn how to do it yourself, or you can associate yourself with somebody who already knows how to do this. And this is how you create your first partnership with another person. In any case, this is a very standard waterfall process that I'm using. Each time when you feel like you are stuck, you go back to the previous step, and if needed, to the previous step. So in my experience, sometimes you need to go as high as to the mission once again. And then you redo the whole process up until you answer yes to the last 2 questions. And this is how you find your business idea that should work for you in the long run and that should make you happy and fulfilled. Thank you for listening to this episode. I hope this has been helpful for you, and talk to you soon.